Hello, hello, everyone out there tonight. Happy solstice. Winter solstice for those of you in the southern hemisphere. Summer solstice for those of you in the northern hemisphere. Hello, hello to all. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. It has been a wonderful day here and a great realization. Earlier in the day, Kalina said it is the solstice day, and it just worked out where we had today available to do this. We wanted to surprise everyone by bringing a beautiful solstice transmission to everyone for free on this beautiful solstice day. How's everybody doing today? Big love to all out here. Thank you. Brett, how are you doing, brother? Happy solstice to you too. Happy solstice, Phil. Thank you so much, guys. We hope everyone's doing well out there. I want to give a big shout out to everyone there on Patreon who makes things like this possible, and thanks to all the people here who support all of our live streams. Now, I know that everyone has been a little oversaturated with the radio show, The Enlightenment Evolution Hour. I've been putting more of that up on the channel than my channeling itself. So we want to make sure everyone has the opportunity to hang in there, experience, have a little bit of time here. So we're going to do the transmission for the solstice. And I believe Aridif is who will have channel tonight. Most likely it'll be Aridif. And he will be talking about the beautiful solstice energy, what that means for people coming up in this part of the year, this half of the year for the solstice, quarter of the year for the equinox. We're literally halfway through the year now, everyone. So it's a beautiful thing. And then we're going to start taking people's questions. So if you have questions about the solstice, about the energies coming up, about things that are happening in the world today, all that stuff, get your questions ready. Depending on where you're at, whether you're on the ET Whisperer Facebook page, whether you're on the ET Whisperer YouTube page, or whether you're on our ET Whisperer Twitch, you can always drop in just by putting in the comments what your question is, and we will be there. Happy solstice to everyone. Kalina Angel, who is here.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Happy solstice. Love you guys.
I don't know if you guys can hear her, but she said happy solstice. Love you guys. So she's right here hanging out. Wanted to send all of her love to all of you, and wanted to make sure everyone had the opportunity to spend time. Hello, everyone. It's so good to see everybody here tonight. I jump on last minute and everybody shows up. It's a wonderful thing. Well, I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you guys for coming tonight. It is 11:11 when we actually finished up all the things that we needed to live stream, and then 11:15 when we ended up going on air. So it's beautiful, guys. Synchronistic time. Beautiful experience to have all of you guys here. Thank you all for showing up. Blessings to you too. Thank you guys. Wonderful to see all of you here. And if you're in the live chat, please drop in, say hello. We're seeing everybody here. Gomer. Hello. Wonderful, guys. Yeah, please drop in, say hello. We love you guys. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you're going through, how your day's been, where in the world you're from, anything like that you want to share. Please share, everybody. We're waiting as a few more people pile in too, and then we'll start talking about the solstice. It's going to be a wonderful end of the year. It's been a great beginning of the year, and even though some things come up a little stronger than others, some come a little lighter than others, everything is as it is, and everything is wonderful from this point forward. But it has been a bit rough for a lot of people. A lot of people have been going through some crazy stuff lately. So we want to hear what you got going on, what we've got happening in your own lives. Anything that you want to share is great, guys. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to take a drink of water, guys. Let you guys chat up for a minute before we get officially moving. Wonderful to see so many people in the chat. I love this. Love it when you guys come together for unannounced anything. We do a lot more unannounced things than we used to, but sometimes we do it when the energy is able to be fit in. And tonight's a perfect example of divine timing, of synchronicity, and everything else. Yeah, cleansing and exhausted. That is a huge thing that's been going on for a lot of people. I've spent, over the last couple of weeks, I've spent multiple hours sleeping during the day, which is something I never do. So I've been going through that too. That's a real deal thing. Yeah, huge issue, huge energy. Wonderful to see you all here. Thank you guys for coming in. Thank you for sharing what's happening with your experience, what's happening with your lives. Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, guys. So let's talk a little bit about the solstice, and I'll keep my eye on the chat as you guys come through. So hi to everyone who's here so far. Thank you all. Anyone whose comment I put up on the screen, I appreciate it, and thank you. The weather in our state. Been playing with turtles. Nice. The weather in our state.
I like turtles.
Kalina and Jonathan both like turtles, which is great. Yeah, Jonathan the zombie.
I was making also old school.
Yeah, Jonathan. That's what I meant, Jonathan the zombie.
But I actually do like turtles.
Yes. So the weather in our state, it has been hot and humid. People think of Michigan and they're like, oh, the cold place. And yes, that is true. But we're also we're the Florida of the North, minus the alligators and the crazy. Well, we have plenty of crazy people too. So
we have underwater lake reptilians, if that counts, apparently.
Yeah. But as far as the weather, what's happening here is we have 5 Great Lakes that surround, 3 that surround Michigan and 2 down the trough a bit. We have like 80% of the world's fresh water, or no, I'm sorry, 20% of all the world's fresh water that sits around our state. And that is an important fact because it's very humid here. We're in a peninsula. Michigan is divided into 2 separate peninsulas. Most people call it the Lower Peninsula, Upper Peninsula, or Michigan proper and the Upper Peninsula, which the people from the Upper Peninsula hate when people call it Michigan proper. But right in the southern part of the state of Michigan, where we're at in the southwest in Kalamazoo, we get hit with humidity at Florida levels. And because Michigan isn't in northern Canada, we still can get to 80 or 90 degrees during the summer. We actually got up to 100 degrees today. So when I went south for the first time in my life, southwest, not south, I've been to south a lot. I was born in the south. When we were out in Utah, my dad and I lived there for a couple months working. I went out swimming one day and said, wow, this is so beautiful. It's actually very, very nice out today. So I went out and swam, and I swam for about 3 hours in the swimming pool at our hotel that we were living at. And I got the worst sunburn of my life. My skin was peeling. It was bad. And then I went back in, and my dad had the news on before we got ready for work. and it said 92 degrees. And I'm like, this is not 92 degrees. I know what 92 degrees feels like. This is not 92. Well, I had spent my whole life in 70 to 90% humidity. So 90 degrees usually feels like you're walking into a sauna and you're sweating from head to toe. Even people who don't sweat in Michigan and Florida in the summer. So the summer has actually been really, really hot, really muggy, like every Michigan summer. But that's a beautiful thing about Michigan. And I know weather isn't a fascinating conversation, but it's always nice to hear about these little pockets around the world and the localized things that are unique to that region. Anyone in the Great Lakes area knows exactly what the deal is. Everybody who lives within proximity of lake effect weather. So anyway, that's what we're up to. That's what our weather is. Happy solstice, everybody. Happy solstice. Happy solstice. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the chickens or the sheep or the cattle. I don't do mainstream news very much. I don't do much alternative news much either.
Not anymore.
No, it's been too much fear that they try to inject in a lot of that. So I've been just spending time with community and with family, and that tends to serve me way better. There is a level that happens when I do these types of disconnects. And a lot of people say, so you'd rather be oblivious to what's going on around the world. And no, that's not, I'm not one that hides from nasty stuff or grimy or dirty earth energy. I very much play in that sandbox all the time. That's not a problem for me. I can get gritty with the rest of them. I just, certain times, they've turned it up so much. They've turned up the volume. They've turned up the volume on that so much. And it becomes deafening to the ears. And it actually becomes extremely boring when all you hear is, hey, the world's coming to an end and everyone's going to die and everyone's going to suffer. And, one side says it's because of the weather. The other says it's because of taxes. It's just like, oh my God, guys. Hey, Canadian awareness in the house. Brother, how are you? Yes, tomorrow night, guys, I'm doing a show with Anthony from Canadian Awareness, Reptilian Channel, and we're going to be talking about some reptilian stuff. See, that energy that a lot of people don't like, that dark energy, we're going to get all into that, and it's going to be beautiful, guys. So yeah, hey Anthony, how are you doing, brother? Nice to see you here. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, so today, being the summer here in Michigan, being the winter down to our friends in Australia and China and anywhere in Southern Asia and Africa, South America. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, guys. Yes, we will be for our radio show tomorrow. Yeah, we will definitely be live. I'm only going to be doing a few pre-recorded shows for the radio show. A couple people can't make it live at that time because they have their own thing going on or it's way too late for where they're living. So there's only a few, but almost every single one of those are always live because we like to take questions and have exchange with people. Yeah. You've never met Kalina. You've been on my Facebook for that long and you've never met Kalina? Oh, maybe not directly. Well, it's nice that you guys met. Oh. All right, guys. Yes. So.
Sorry about my phone.
No, you're fine.
Have the volume up in case the baby.
Yeah, Kalina's got to monitor the baby,
yeah.
so you might hear the phone beep a little bit here and there, but she's got it on silent, so you'll only hear the vibrate. All right, guys. So what are some of the things that you guys are looking forward for the energies as they're coming up this year? I know that solstice always implies the halfway mark through the year. If we look at paganism and the roots of that type of energy, then the summer is the brightest part of the life, the summer of the life. The summer of each year is represented by the full prime of life, the full fulfillment of life. That's when the crops are eaten, harvested, getting ready to go into the next cycle, which is the slowing and dying factor. I mean, there's really, really a lot of different energies here. So what does solstice mean to you guys? I'd really like to see what your comments are about this. I'd really like to see what you guys think and feel about the solstice, because it is something that me and Kalina celebrate every solstice and equinox privately. We don't usually make a big deal. If we have the capability to, then we do try to live stream or have a recorded video ready for it. We're going to try to do more of that.
We've had a lot going on, especially this year.
Yeah.
A lot of family stuff. But I imagine, knock on wood for us, I'm actually going to be superstitious and knock on wood, we'll be more freed up soon.
Yeah, and I hope you guys can hear Kalina. If you guys can let me know if you can hear Kalina where she is. The microphone isn't always great, and she's quite a ways away from me. I'm going to change microphone here so that she's closer so you guys can actually hear
I have
it.
to be a little soft voiced because our baby, she's not really going to be a baby much longer, but she has really good hearing. So
she's 3 in a couple of days.
Yes.
She will be 3 in literally just 3 days from now. Well, today being going into the 22nd. So,
yeah.
Okay, good. You guys can hear. Perfect. Thank you, Anthony, for letting us know that you can hear it too. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah. So it's a beautiful energy. Yeah, I know, right? 3 years. It's crazy. And maybe next time too, we do a live stream, I'll set up a few pictures so we can show you guys how big she's getting. Or if we're on camera and she's here, we can pop her in to say hi.
Yeah, if you do something during the daytime.
Tinfoil Hatter says, to us it means so very much, the solstice, hard to put in words. We'd rather listen to The Cure like Friday, I'm in Love, right? Yeah, well, it is a hard thing to put into words. There's a lot of things involved with that energy. Solstice opens doors and energies, keeps things moving forward towards a new adventure. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Phil. Solstice honestly means the beginning of a new season spiritually in my life, and also whatever marks that I've missed. I like to think that the solstice is a reminder to assure me that I am. That's beautiful. Thank you guys for sharing these things. Never knew about the solstice, so I'm just here to listen. Well, welcome, welcome. We hope you enjoy. Hello, Malik. Hello. Solstice is the national day of Greenland. Everybody celebrates here. Holy moly, that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Another reason Greenland is awesome, as we know, right?
Don't get jealous. Don't get jealous, Anthony. Just kidding.
The solstice means that summer to me, when I was born, full of life and magic. That's beautiful. Summer wind. That's very deep meaning for you then. Beautiful.
Is your birthday around soon, summer?
Yeah. Do you have a birthday near around the solstice? So something that Treb and Aridif always share is that everything comes in cycles. And those cycles have different meaning, different energies, different expressions. And each one is actually different because there's always the small cycles, the larger cycles, the midterm cycles, and the energies that are involved in all of those cycles lay over and work with one another. So the small cycle always takes care of the short-term stuff, and that's kind of something that I think is almost intuitive to people who understand the aspects of 2 solstices in a year and 2 equinoxes in a year. It's literally a quarterly or a half year energy. So it really, really puts it into a tougher place and to explain. But when you lay it over on top of these mid cycles, long cycles, and really long cycles like past human lifespan cycles, then everyone has a very specific energy. And I know astrology plays into a lot of that energy. It puts in the aspects of the collective consciousness. It puts in aspects of the larger yearly cycles. You go to planets like Jupiter, on outward from Jupiter to Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto. All of those have vastly long cycles, especially like Pluto and Uranus and Neptune, like 100+ year cycles, where Saturn only has a 30-year cycle. So these large, huge cycles, everyone says Saturn will come around at least twice in my life, and that's always true. The Saturn return comes between the 28 and 30 year. So these are some of the cycles that Treb and Aridif are talking about on top. Now, they're not talking about those planets directly or the astrological meanings of them, but what energy affects what type of solstice it'll be, or what other energies coincide with the solstice of the short-term energy. And that is all of those long-term energies, all of those long-term cycles. Saturn going around the sun doesn't mean much energetically outside of astrology and how they perceive it. But where it's positioned in the solar system as a part of galactic collective consciousness, then absolutely it does. Everything inside of our, not galactic collective, our solar system collective, every body within our solar system collective, the larger, the more energetic, the more central to our experience, the more important it is for us. But all of those bodies play a part. That's why Lilith gets her own spot in certain astrologies. That's why Ceres gets its own spot in certain astrologies. Aries gets its own spot in certain astrologies. They're not big bodies by any mean. I mean, our moon is bigger than most of those small ones, but still, they're large enough and significant enough to play an energetic part of our solar system collective. So I think it's really important. I'm going to go back to comments real quick, guys. Okay. April of 1980. Got a lot of 1980s in here. Where did I see? August of 1980. I'm a January 4 of 1980. Got a lot of 80s babies around here. Beautiful. The last of Generation X, right? Everyone always argues, no, you're a millennial. Nope, I am a Generation X. I remember life very much before the internet, which means I'm a Generation X. Hand fasting rituals, gathering of couples, beautiful. All right, much love to you too. Hummingbirds don't fly away, fly away. Beautiful tinfoil head, thank you. That's very nice, Kalina. April, beautiful. April of 19, all right. And then I lost track. Okay, you guys have been commenting, great. Hold my hat, absolutely. That's it. Husband born January 7th. Mm-hmm. Whoa.
Did you see what I said?
I haven't got to that yet. No. All right, sorry guys, I'm reading through the comments here, putting it up. Got a 70s kid in the house.
14 and 79. I was just a little baby.
Aw. Yeah. Gen X, yeah. Oh, you guys aren't old. You're just as old as you feel, right? All right. The 90s considered. I think if you're born in the 90s, you're definitely a millennial. My son was the last year of
Yep.
millennials, born in 99. So you're
He's-
definitely a millennial if you're born in the 90s. Early 90s. There you go. Yeah. 95, 95. Got a lot of millennials in the house. Nothing wrong with millennials. When I say I'm not a millennial, it's not because I'm fighting against being one.
Pasto Wasta was born in probably one of the coolest years ever.
The 69, absolutely. Perfect. When I say no, I'm Generation X, it's because that's where I fit generationally. If you put everything in a box and separate everything like humans are really
he was
good
born
at.
in 1980. I was the last of Gen X, but
No,
we
see,
have
that's-
now we have
Nope.
this rule: if you remember life before the internet, you get to be Gen X.
That's it.
If
If
you
you
had
remember
to take-
substantial life before the
If
internet,
you
not
had
just a
to
year of
take
it.
a phone and run the cord outside as a kid, preteen, or teenager to get privacy, like you know what I'm talking about, and you had to worry about like listening to see if anybody was listening to you on the other side. If you know how to rewind a tape, if you know what be kind rewind means, then yes, you get to be Gen X or before that.
Yeah, if you know how a pencil and a tape cassette are related.
Yep.
A pencil, right? Not a mechanical one either. Yeah.
If you know side A, side B.
Yeah, then you're Gen X or earlier. Oh, no, 90s are a good year. A lot of kids in the 90s too, when they were like kids in the 90s or born in the 90s, a lot of those were still very Gen X-esque, and that's the thing. Everyone says 80 is the year of cut. You look it up on different articles. You have 50 different articles. One says 79, one says 80, one says 82, one says 81. So there's a million different things. I think to me, it's the feel. You have kids like Jeremy's age, 99, and I say kids because Jeremy's my son and he's 23. So to me, it's the same age as my child, but it's not a kid. So sorry, it's my vernacular. That age difference is a feel. So people who are born between my son's age and my age, they got a little bit of both. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's always a sliding scale, always a spectrum.
Lily's going through a 90s kick. CNC Music Factory is her jam right now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
How many 3-year-olds know about that right now?
Yeah, that's it. If you know what a busy signal is, exactly.
Exactly. Or what dial-up sounds like. I thought about getting that as a ringtone. Just be funny to see.
Is it possible a parallel timeline could be interrupted, meaning that souls who belong to be born in a certain time are totally born? Yeah, I think certain souls come in quickly. I think this is more so why this phenomenon exists. I think when someone is born in 1980 and dies in 85, they're like, man, I didn't get to spend much time in that. And they have these ties to these people energetically who were born around the same time they were playing Hot Wheels together. And, you know, and when they die, they're like, I want to go back to Earth, you know, and it takes them a couple of years to figure it out, usually linearly. So they're born in 1990, 95, and they still have that feeling, you know, the throwback gene. We're seeing that in my nephew, who probably had a very strong lifetime in like the 30s and 40s, who really relates to the jazz music of that time and the feel of that time. So I think a lot of people who feel like they're out of time are definitely either walk-ins or are people who died early or died in that era, and came back. And remember too, time outside of life is not linear. So you can be born in 1980, live until you're 100 years old, die, and then go back to 1990 and redo it 10 years later and just have that feeling because you're so close to that last lifetime
you can
too.
run into a version of yourself too.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. There are really no limits on how
Multiple
this
lives. It's all
consciousness shift
happening.
works.
It's all happening at one time ultimately.
Oh, exactly. That's perfect. All right, I'm gonna let Kalina talk to you guys for a second. I forgot to grab something of myself, so I'm gonna go run and do that. So I'm gonna let Kalina entertain you guys for a minute, hang out with you for a little bit.
I'll try my best. I'm tired, so I'm full of really bad mom jokes tonight. I'm like really bad. I can barely talk. I'm stuttering. I'm like, gosh, I didn't even have a drink or anything. So like, oh. I'm reading your comments. I can't. Let me take over. I'm gonna get in front of this computer because my computer is not where I can show you guys' comments. So, anybody celebrate today, or were you guys kind of chilling? See, Portia says, feeling as if I can't relate to almost anything during this time. Nothing excites me. I've noticed this in a lot of people lately, and Rob and I will even have our kind of blah days, and I think, I mean, I can't speak for you or any of you guys, but I think we've had so much thrown at us energetically over the last, especially the last couple of years. Sometimes you just kind of have to deflate or zone out a little bit, you know what I mean? But also to take that time to connect inward. But I think it's also sometimes just important to just let ourselves relax, you know what I mean? So I think if you, and not that I'm trying to give you advice or anything, Portia, but if you're able to find comfort in not relating to almost anything, maybe it's just something you do need to find within yourself that's new to be excited about, because I think the stuff that's being thrown at us can also create a sense of boredom, if you will. So going in and finding that new, unique something within ourselves will help. So let me see what else you guys are saying. But sending you lots of love, Portia. I totally get what you mean. Let's see. Aw. Of course not, Tinfoil. Go ahead. Tinfoil's like, I'm going to grab a beer.
Yeah.
And again, guys, sorry, I'm super tired, so I might sound really awkward. I'm kind of naturally socially awkward as it is. Like, I'm usually a little better over the air on a microphone, but like I am stoops awkward in real life. I'm like, I don't know what is socially right thing to do. I'll just sit here and be weird.
Yeah, that's why everybody loves you. You're weird. Our community has to be weird when you're talking to aliens and
that's true.
Communicating with dead people and
I'm just
celebrating solstices.
Just beating the prerequisites.
Right. You gotta be weird. That's my people, my tribe.
What did you think of this? I had let's see, where did it go? I'm curious to see how I was talking about this to Portia.
Yeah.
Because I just have a feeling that a lot of people are feeling like that right now.
Yeah. It's people are burned out. I mean, you hear it in me and Kalina's voice. We're tired. It's been a long month for everybody. It's been a long couple of years for more. And if we're being
I'll
honest,
give you your seat back. Sorry.
since 2016, life has really been heavy on everyone. It started with a circus world show and just continued to get worse and worse, and then the collective energy just piled on top of it. So yeah, it's been a long journey. I think everybody's getting to that point where they're just tired of the craziness and want a little break, a little bit. So I think everyone can relate to that to a degree, even if it's not been extremely chaotic for certain people. The energy of other people have been, and I noticed this in waves too. When it came down to it, there was a lot of people around me who were okay, and then I started freaking out during the very beginning of watching the world kind of shift into this really crazy place between 2016 and the pandemic. And then after the pandemic, a little more, we saw all these people starting to behave and act way outside of their norm, showing parts of themselves that were never publicly shown before. Family, friends, teachers.
And all of us, I think, here have lost beloved friends, and we've seen relationships that we thought were like super stable break apart.
Yeah. We saw
other
couple
things that people used to be able to just like, okay, well, we'll agree to disagree, we'll get along, kind of stuff. And I do feel like I'm starting to see glimmers of people try to like, wait a minute, this has just gone too far. It's getting too polarized. Can we all just be friends again? Sorry, I hope I didn't interrupt.
No. It's all in alignment with everything I was gonna say anyway. This energy has just been exhausting for most people, watching how crazy others have gotten, even when they've been calm, even when their life centrally doesn't feel chaotic. They're still watching people they love go crazy, watching the world around them go crazy, and that's exhausting.
I want to ask a question to everybody. What's everybody been doing to help make themselves feel better? How are we recuperating? What are you guys doing? Maybe we can generate some ideas for each other to help take care of ourselves, because I really feel like in these next 6 months, and we're saying this during the Cancerian time, the need to be, kind of like that home womb-like space, taking care of yourself, nurturing yourself, mothering yourself, if you will, or fathering as well. What are some things you guys are taking to nurture yourselves, or do you plan on nurturing yourselves? I think together as a collective, we can generate ideas, because I feel like most of us need some regeneration.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's right. I think.
What are you doing, sweetie?
I think I'm going to ask Aridif to share a technique with us tonight to help us bring back some grounding.
We need to get back on the 10 steps.
Our life. Yeah, the 10 steps are always a beautiful thing.
That in a while.
When you do them, they're powerful. They shift a lot of things in your life.
Yeah, the 10 steps that Aridif and Treb created, and I was bugging them years ago about like kind of making it more accessible, and I'm probably going to revise that, make it more simple. We'll go over that later and make it simpler, because
we don't want to mess with it too much due to the how much Treb and I, but we'll get their guidance on how to change, or what to change, if anything.
Oh, I meant the way I styled it was very verbose.
Oh yeah.
That wasn't their doing. That was mine.
Right, but that's fine too, though. It
but
helps give a visual aid.
What are you doing, Sooty, to help with nurturing yourself, or do you plan on doing?
That's the thing. I sometimes I feel like I don't have time to do anything for myself. And when I do, I usually use it just to relax instead of doing productive things. Whereas tonight, being the solstice, I was like, you know what? I want to channel and share that vibration of my own excitement to have that understanding and energy sent out. So it's different. Sometimes I use it to just melt in and relax, watch a movie or play a video game or do something stupid and dumb to break up monotony. Or other times we create something for others to share with. So
it's fun stuff. So childlike play, it's not really stupid or dumb, in my opinion.
yeah.
Just as adults, we're expected not to play. But for me, it's been stepping more deeply into my spiritual zone. And as a mom, and Lily's got a lot of special needs right now that I'm having to tend to, that we both are. She has had such severe sleep issues. That's why you guys don't see or hear from me very much anymore. And so she wakes up all throughout the night, although I seem to have found something. This is night 3, and so far she hasn't woken up, and it's amazing. But regardless, I take the time, even if I just scratch out 10 minutes somewhere, and I'll light a candle. And the other thing I'm working with is I try to go to sleep now with the Monroe Institute. I'm working with that because I always wanted to, and I'd always started and stopped it. And so now I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. So that's what I'm doing, just for my own personal, because it's fun.
And we did get some answers too from everybody here in the chat.
That's what I was having us talk, so we could generate so we could have them have time to answer.
Yeah.
So let's see what you guys said. Let's see.
Our Kitty says, for me, listening to my body, creating the inner awareness. That's beautiful. Znev says, Zayanev. I'm sorry, I always kill that name. One day you'll have to tell me how to say that so I don't keep embarrassing myself with the horrible pronunciations. Got a vibrating full body massage mat. Amazing. It chills me out. That's wonderful.
Okay, can you please send us the model of whatever that is? Because Robin and I need that so bad.
Exactly.
I'm just...
okay,
Whoa.
That's the kid's toy going off for no reason.
Oh, I think the cat just went by it.
Phil said, the company of my cat and my connection with her helps to release. That's beautiful. Yes. Our cat was just giving us some comfort in way of very loud children's toys. Trying to learn to meditate. Don't think I'm doing it correctly, however.
Oh my gosh, you've had so many channelings of Aridif and Treb talking about meditation.
Yeah. Just
type in the word meditation, you'll find all kinds
of
stuff.
If you go to my playlist for channeling classes, there's 2 of them. Those aren't just for channeling. Those are for meditation. They're for in-depth trance work. Mm-hmm. They're for before you go to bed to do astral work. They really work for everything. But
there's no really wrong way to do a meditation.
No.
It's really about just connecting to...
Right, but if you're not finding techniques in a way that feels right, go through that. If you've already listened to those, go through 1,000 different meditations. And like Kalina said, you're going to feel the right ones when they're right for you. And just pick the pieces and parts out of each meditation that feels right. When I first connected with Treb, that's how I had to do it. There wasn't a lot of things online about channeling or deep trance meditation. It was mostly books, and it wasn't available online. I mean, sometimes they had torrented or pirated things that were out and about there, but as far as wide exposure channeling information, you had to buy books back then. It wasn't online and accessible. So literally had to go through just listening to audio meditations that I found either through friends who had found things. When I asked them, if you hear about anything meditation, please send it to me. They would go searching through torrents and Pirate Bay and LimeWire and all those. Or I would bump into a YouTube video about meditation. I literally would just go through And any technique that I heard that was useful, that felt good, that was experienced well in my body, I kept that little piece. So my way to connect with Treb was a mishmash of the Hemisync Gateway experience and like 10 other meditations, plus things that Treb taught me and things that I just intuited. So it really is a process. Everybody's meditation is so different. Like I can teach meditation to 100 people and each of them might get something useful, but none of them are going to get the whole thing working all the way for them all the time, because meditation basically turns out to be a self-hypnosis to get us into the state we want to get into, which is weird to say that, but that's how Aridif and Treb have described it. It's not that the words themselves are magical. It's not the visualizations that's magical. There's no spell that it creates for you from an external perspective, but it's actually you teaching yourself how to get out of the way and giving yourself permission to do that. And you're doing that by saying, I'm using this wonderful technique and this technique will do this for me. So just find the ones that work well for you and put them together and make your own thing out of it. I think that's a great way to go.
Lots of beautiful things that people are doing that a lot seems very meditative too. Different forms, like going out in nature. Rob and I are trying to find a place to move out in nature. That's all I want to do is just be able to sit outside and take walks out in nature.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a beautiful way to do it. Guided meditations are my favorite. Of course, those are really great. Creativity is fun. More words than guitar picking that lately. That's beautiful. Dance, shake. Absolutely. Help clear out the fun for you and the kids. That's beautiful. Connecting with nature, right there. Kalina nailed it.
Well, I was reading ahead. I cheated.
That's fine.
I'm psychic. I'm so psychic. I don't even need to read it, guys. Just kidding. No, I totally was looking. I've got my iPad over here. I'm like sneaking ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know this screen's way too tiny for you that far away. Creativity has really helped.
Gen X needs glasses now, apparently, to read a screen.
Yeah, that's a bad belief my dad always said, and I was like, man, that sucks. You know, after you're 40, you might need glasses. And here I am, 42, needing.
Oh, is it happening to you too?
Yeah, it's been. Part of it's sitting in the dark with screens.
Yeah, it's my fault. We have to fight with lights on. I'm super sensitive to like lights and loud sounds and noises and all kinds of stuff like that. And Rob likes to keep it like super bright.
I just like to see. I just like to be able to look in the dark.
Why don't you turn the lamp next to you?
I will.
That's
right
a nice
now,
soft lamp.
There's too many things.
We need to get the right kind of light that we can all agree on.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I don't want you to not be able to see that.
I'm glad the world took a break, to be honest. Sometimes it was going scary and upsetting. Yeah, it really is good to have the fighting and the hostility over with. If you lived in the U.S. for 2020 and 2021, it was pretty intensive with the violence. You've seen it in Germany. You've seen it in France. You've seen it
Australia.
You've seen it everywhere. There was just so much contentiousness, and I'm glad that's clearing up. Yeah. Welcome. You didn't know? No one knew. We did this very, very last minute. Me and Kalina knew. John Creek, my friend.
We knew for a couple hours.
Yeah, John Creek is my friend who's been helping me out, getting all these pretty graphics and beautiful things, and intros and all that good stuff, and helped me with the website. He knew because he made these wonderful graphics that we got in front of us. So thank you, brother, for doing that. I appreciate that. Yeah, me and Kalina were the only two who knew, and we didn't know that if we could or not until we could. And then we knew. And we're here too. So
I had to coax Robin to taking a nap. He was really tired. I was like, come on, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because I could tell he wanted to. So.
Yeah, I was going to try to get on camera and do all that too. But at the end of the night, I'd rather be here than be pretty for you guys. So I'm pretty sure most of you agree that you'd rather just have me here channeling than have me on camera and not be here. So, or be here for less of the time. So, all right, guys, we've been shooting our mouths off for an hour now. Me and Kalina have a good way of doing that.
Wait, you guys weren't here just to hear us?
Yeah, no
banter
kidding,
about.
Right? Well, I've given them enough.
What do you
of that
mean you
with
want
the
to
radio.
talk to like higher density beings? What's going on with you guys?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
You
I've been
wanna
talking
talk to the aliens, please.
I've been talking everybody's ear off enough with the radio show. I feel bad, I really do, because like I look at the videos and it's for the last 6 months, or 5-6 months now, I've been doing the radio show first every couple of weeks and then every week, and I'm like, I officially have 4 or 5 times the amount of radio shows up than I did channeling in the last couple months. So we're gonna work on that too, guys.
Oh, you should make super quick announcement. Of course, we have Anthony on tomorrow from Canadian Awareness.
I've got so many people. It's a list.
Oh, you can't for Monday?
Well,
That's
it's
what-
not going to be Monday. That's just a pre-recorded.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll announce
so
that as
that'll
it gets
be
closer. Yeah,
top secret information.
Well, it's not top secret. There's just too many people between then and when it actually will air. It's not fair to the guests coming up.
I didn't realize that. Sorry,
Closer.
I thought for some reason you were doing it live.
No, it's all right, Mom. It's all right.
Sometimes I overhear stuff, but I just misinterpret. Sorry, guys.
No, it's all right. I just didn't want to get people up in front of other people.
I told you guys. Told you guys I was awkward. Oh, it's all good.
Yeah. We've heard about the gray hybrid races and stuff. I've heard that name too.
Well, me too.
Elena Denan. I've heard her name before, but I don't know if it's the right person who I'm thinking of. Honestly, guys, I don't really listen to other people's channelings or other people's information.
There's so many different groups when it comes to the grays and the hybrids and everything.
Well, it's it's not just that. There's so much information out there right now that I really don't resonate with so many extra things that are happening. Aridif and Treb are personally related to my consciousness because they are my guides. So that's why I've been connecting with them, and I stay connecting with them, and I listen to what they say is relevant to me. That doesn't mean anybody else isn't right. It just means that for me, my level of resonance doesn't go out.
Right.
I mean, I do listen to some people, my friends who put out information. I do that as a capacity as a friend, but I usually don't seek out information that's out there. Marina, she's a good friend of ours too. I did a show with her on New Realities about this. So if you want to know a little bit more about how I feel personally about that, you can always watch that episode. My perspective is there's a lot more than meets the eye to one side or the other. One side says they're manipulating you. They just want you to do what they want you to do. And the other side says, hey, on a soul level, you're agreeing to this. And both are correct. I think both have a level of correctness to it by the person who's feeling and experiencing that. And that's the thing. All of us have our own truth based off of the experiences that we have.
All of us have our own agendas, whether we want to admit it or not. We all have the agendas that we want, and just like they're different humans, with different intentions, it's the same when you go out, in a galactic sense. Like,
they're full of duality.
There are people who say all reptilians are bad, and that's just not true, or that all Pleiadians are good, and that's just not true. And of course, then you get beyond that from the higher vantage point where there is no such thing as good versus bad. It's pretty trippy.
Well, that's the thing. On a higher soul level,
it's an experience ultimately.
On a higher soul level, what does it mean? I mean, what does this whole thing
It's an
mean?
experience.
Right.
You know?
Both sides.
Yep.
And
we all play them all.
Right. We've been the draconian that blows up a planet. We've been the person on the planet who's been blown
here's
up.
what's trippy. We're the ones blowing up ourselves. We'll have a life over here and a life over
Exactly.
there. And like it's not uncommon to have lives where the very being that's killing you and torturing you is another version of you. You're having that experience.
And then ask yourself, why did the draconians blow up the planet? Most people say, well, they're evil. Well, what if they're not? What happens if they were attacked or bombed or attempted to get killed? See, all these things are so semantical because they are leveled in physical reality with fractals who have personal perspectives. And also,
none of us knows the whole story either of any other being.
Right, because you can't know what they're thinking or feeling. Right. And it's on a level that's intuitive to that person and those who are close to them. So obviously, if you see a human going through an experience having hybrids, and they say, I'm done doing that, I don't want to do that, but for some reason that's not ending, you're going to have sympathy for them. You're going to say, that's BS, man. Why are these ETs doing that?
Stop if someone doesn't want it.
Correct.
I mean, just in my personal
But
opinion.
if you're a friend with a Grays and you're like, well, they agreed to on a soul level, this is what we have to do to perpetuate the whole reality.
We'll get this. What if, sorry.
No, I'm just saying, then it's, you would feel for them. So,
well, you can also agree, like, from the physical fractal point, but then we all have these astral lives that most of us don't remember. So what happens when your physical self, that when you wake up, says no, but then when you go out in the astral state, you're all for it. It's like, then like it's crazy because for me, I don't know about you guys, but I just feel like I have all these other lives that that I'm trying to remember. Like when I go to sleep, I feel like I'm doing all these things and I don't hardly remember anything right now at this point, which is one of the reasons why I'm going through the gateway experience, because I feel it and I bring back all this information, but I don't remember hardly anything. So,
and if you guys really too want to understand the perspective, the two different perspectives about this gray hybridization, I did a show with Marina on New Realities, and I did an interview with Daryl. Watch both of them because we talked about it in both of those areas.
Yeah.
I talked to Daryl about the contractual nature behind hybridization and people who want to stop and break contract.
Pay attention to your heart and your body too.
Yeah. And this is why I haven't, the Danan name sounds familiar. I think I have I think I have a friend who really doesn't care much for her. Elena Danan, but I've never really personally looked at the information just because like I said, I'm not drawn to look at others' information so much. I'm
gonna try to look into that.
It's
possible that I like to research this stuff.
Yeah, Kalina's all over our community. That's how I find out about 99% of the things in our community. Right. Because Kalina's on top of it for me.
But I'm not good at remembering names, but it's totally possible that I've been watching. I watch all kind, even if I don't agree or resonate with something, I'll still it's funny. I'll be subscribed to things because I'm like, I just want to look at other viewpoints because none of us knows all the answers. There's really no such thing as all the answers, and plus there's so many different realities that are coexisting, with each other.
Oh, there's the baby.
All right, I love you guys. I gotta split.
Kalina's off to get the baby.
I'm coming, baby. I'll be right there.
All right, Mama. Thank you for joining us. All right, guys. Kalina's going to go tend to the baby. 1 second, guys. Sorry. 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, guys. So yeah, sorry about that. Kalina's going to go take care of the baby. Yeah, I don't see, this is the thing. I don't know Elena Danan, and I would never want to talk about someone I don't know personally. Even if I listen to her material, if I still didn't know her personally, I can talk about Daryl because I know him. I've studied his material. To me, Daryl is a good guy. I think his intentions are decent and good. Um, you know, he wants people to have access to the information. I know a lot of people have a lot of contention around a lot of things, the copyright thing and all that stuff. But um, I really feel like Daryl is a nice guy. And Bashar has been helping the Earth for a long time. I know some people have said a lot of things about a lot of things, but that's what I mean. I can't really comment intelligently about it because I don't have enough dogs in the fight. And it usually takes me a dog in the fight to really get into something, uh, that's important. Um, See, that's one thing I can talk about, the Intergalactic Federation. To me, the Galactic Federation is a word that triggers trauma in me. It triggers a lot of things in me that I don't care about. I wrote a whole article on this on Facebook, and I wrote an article in 2010 on a spiritual forum, and I brought that to Facebook a few months ago. And it talks about how the Galactic Federation of Light was a group that would not associate their energy with alignment, with helpfulness to humans. That most representations of the Galactic Federation of Light were doing the things that say, hey, we're coming here to help everyone and to do good for everyone. But to me, what they were saying is, hey, do the work. We're not going to, you guys can't do the work. Sorry, I saw Kalina pop in, so I didn't know what that was about. Basically said, hey, don't do any spiritual work. We're going to do it for you. We're going to remove the cabal, the bad guys, all of this stuff. We're landing in 2012, and just all these things that they told people so that people wouldn't do their own spiritual work. And to me, I spoke up about it, and I took it personal because it takes away from the spiritual development of a human being. And I don't like to badmouth anybody, especially if I don't know that person. But the Galactic Federation of Light's like this gigantic unified energy that's behind the scenes. You only get a couple names that attach with that, but most of the time it's just a written channeling, not done on camera, not done with a human voice, but a robotic voice. So it means one person could be doing it and putting it under 1,000 different names. We'd never know. You don't meet any of the Galactic Federation of Light channelers, at least back in the 2010 time you didn't. So it was just this very weird feeling to me that they kept promising landing dates, and they kept promising that they would take out the bad guys and the evil. And they said, don't worry, we're here to save you. That never resonates with me. If you're not doing your own internal work, no one can save you because you have to save yourself first. It's the rule of manifestation. It's the rules of working on your own consciousness, and it's the rules of creation. If you don't think you're worth saving, you're not going to do the work inside. If you think everyone else will save you, but you think that you need saving, you're going to create opposition to being saved. It's just a very simple cycle. And I think that type of stuff is the stuff I can comment on much more about these things than the personal thing, because I think these things now with the hybridization and the hybrids themselves, I think there are two sides to that. And I think both of them are legitimate things, because you see people who are experiencing them from both sides coming out and actually getting on camera or on microphone and talking about it. And I've always said, if there's an anonymous source of information, you can't really take that for what it is, because there's no way to communicate with this Galactic Federation of Light besides reading these posts. Same energy as the QAnon thing that happened with a lot of the QAnon energy. They said, hey, you're going to get saved by the white hats, you're going to get saved by Trump, you're going to get saved by this and that and this. And each time you're promised that you're going to be saved, usually the same result happens. We are obsessed as humans with saviors. We built religions. We watch superhero movies. I just talked about this with Jimmy Church. I talked about it really in depth on a couple other interviews that I've done too. And I think, like the Matrix Media, that interview that I did, we really talked in depth about it there. The Matrix Minds Media and the radio show there. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it, but I saw the comment, and I know it's very raw in our community right now. A lot of people are talking about it, so I figured I wanted to at least weigh in where I could. Anyway, sorry guys. I know that went into a lot longer. I did get a little sidetracked too, because the baby and Kalina had to go grab her real quick. So this is a self-made thing. We all have to do our work. We all have to put in the energy, even if we do get assistance from others and get help from other beings. We still have to create an environment conducive to that. And if we ask for hands up, like, hey, I'm working hard to take this next step in my life. Can you help me get to that last bit of the area that I can't seem to get myself up? That's a hand up. Someone's putting their hand down to grab yours, and they're there to assist you up a little bit. But when it's a hand out, like, hey, save me, do all the work. I don't need to spiritually evolve. I'm going to ascend tomorrow without ever doing anything. That's a whole different process. That's a whole different frustration, Anyway, guys, done with that conversation. I am going to channel here in a minute, and I'm going to take a drink of water. My voice is getting cracky again, as does it normally here lately. This is what it's about, guys. It's about self-realization. It's about diving into yourself. It's about finding the inner truth, and then all the outer truths either aren't necessary or will make sense very quickly when you hear it and see it. That's what I found. All the areas of my life that I have not succeeded in doing all the work in, I still have lots and lots of questions about, lots of confusion about, lots of blurred lines. But those places that I have put in all the work, or a lot of the work, or a good chunk of the work, I tend to have less questions. And that's something I think Treb had really explained to me well. And it's just been driven home through my years of being around the channeling and the community and all of the other stuff too. So thank you guys. Yes. Yeah. I love you guys, and I'm appreciative of you guys being here too. So thank you for that. All right, guys, we're going to take about 15, 20 minutes. Normally, I just take about 10 to 12 minutes to neutralize, but I'm going to check to see what was happening with Kalina and why her and the baby came back out, to make sure they're okay before I get started. Enjoy this really groovy beat. That's very amazing and very awesome. Where is it? This is the new hip beat. The neutralizing waiting song. Love you guys. I'll be back in about 15 minutes or so. And when I get back, we will be jumping right into the channeling and start taking your questions. So go ahead and get your questions ready. Actually, you can start sending out your questions now. Make sure that you put in front of the question the word question in all caps. So whoever's moderating those questions are able to find them quickly and to put them up on the screen. Keep the questions about the energies of the earth, the energies of our personal lives, the energy. We're keeping it solstice related. It doesn't have to be about the solstice. It can be about the energies and the things in life that we're going over, but the personal questions are for the open forum. If you have a personal question about something that's talked about in, by Aridif Treb, you can ask that as long as it's directly related. But put the word question in all caps, please. That way we get an opportunity to see them quickly. Love you guys. I'll be back soon. Thank you guys for being here. I love you guys so much, and we'll see you on the other side. All right. So I'll make it a little more clear, and I'm sorry I didn't cover this really that well. I know there's some confusion in the comments there. Questions about the solstice, about the energy, about the upcoming year, about the cycles of energy, things like that are questions we're going to take preference over. And if you ask a personal question, it should probably be about something that Treb or Aridif talk about. This isn't going to be like the open forum. Either Treb or Aridif or both of them will talk. When you ask a question, it'll be addressed to whoever's speaking. So just generic questions. We want to stick on topic because that's what we're getting the energy of the transmission out today, and all the relating energies to what's said in the transmission are preferable, or questions you already can think about or know about, as it kind of aligns with these topics of the cycles of energy, the implications of the energy for the collective, the experience of those energies, and personally, if you have a question about your own energy in those cycles, or with what's going on, or with something Aridif or Treb share, please ask those. But as far as general questions, those are safe for our open forum, and then you can ask personal or general, generic, galactic, whatever types of questions you want are better suited for that. And we will be announcing one of those again in the near future. We just got a lot of things kind of hanging in the air, as it were. So if you will, those types of questions are what I meant by collective questions, questions about the solstice and the energy it brings and the energy cycles in the near future. And then we will go from there and kind of do it. So I wanted to let you guys know, those of you who are asking questions for the collective, Treb and Aridif receive those questions as an energy form. So when you're asking a question about the collective and you're asking about your own personal experience with it, they're going to tap into the collective energy, your personal energy, and depending on what the question is, what chakra that might align with, the mental body, the aura field, any of those types of energies, they're going to see, look at it as a snapshot of energy, and then reflect back to you from their perspective of what is going to happen. So with that said, enjoy yourself, and then the answers to the questions come back in a way that it's going to be much more easily received. All right, guys, let me grab my final drink of water, and then we're going to jump in. Head first or both feet, whatever you prefer. All right, we'll see you in a second, guys. I'm going to take a drink of water, and then we'll go ahead and jump in. All right, one more drink. All right, guys, see you on the other side. Have fun.
Greetings to all, this is Aridif. We wish to express two things before diving into your queries for this day, and before diving into the construct of your solstice and the energetic cycles which occur and are incurred at that expression. But before diving in, we will express those two things that we have shared previously. First, above and beyond all things that are expressed in this day, to know, feel, and to perceive that you are loved in our perspective is of the utmost importance. Secondly, it is our greatest excitement, and within that same great excitement in which we co-create, not only with the singular forms of consciousness, nor the collective forms of consciousness, but the entirety the co-created collective forms of co-created consciousness that are within. And of course, it is our greatest of excitement to be here with you in this moment, not only in this moment, but all moments through your linear time perspective as well. Now first, we ask the construct in the human perspective, what is the solstice? Now, of course, the solstice is a determined construct in natural forms of cycles that occur within your Earth collective, the observable construct of what humans can perceive with your own yearly solar cycles, and within your revolution around the sun, and what occurs within that construct shows you that within each year you hold two portions of times in where the Earth holds exact forms of day and night, an equilibrium that holds exactly 12 hours of that daytime, exactly 12 hours of that which is night. And these are known as the equinox forms of energy, and the solstice, depending upon what portion of the Earth collective consciousness that you live upon, hold either the longest day and shortest night, or the longest night and shortest day. And this energy is known as your solstice. So of course, the energies hold the greatest form of the revolution of energy secular to the collective form of consciousness within each human. Now, independent of that consciousness holds two separate perspectives and two separate personal observation constructs of experience for the human consciousness, not only to perceive as an external stimulus, but also can be perceived so vastly different that the experience of when that shift occurs is different from each human. What time does the sun go completely down, or what time does it go completely upward? And this varies literally from each human to one another, even if you are standing within a 5-mile or 10-kilometer range of one another. This changes and shifts exponentially. A requirement of human consciousness to experience this upon the Earth Collective is simply to be upon the Earth Collective. But the personal perspective it holds is drastically unique from one consciousness to the next. What does that energy difference mean? First of all, it means that the individual personal perspective holds the vibrational reality of a collective form. This is one of the great constructs for most humans to understand as it pertains to creation versus co-creation. What we mean by this is that if one human is experiencing the solstice form of energy, they are tapped into the collective consciousness to do so. Yet, because they hold a unique perspective of geographical location within the Earth Collective, even in the most dense forms and populated cities, they are still holding a truly unique perspective, even if two humans are unified through sexual interactivity and are at the exact geographical location, one laying atop another. They are still holding vastly different perspectives about that experience as it is unfolding. So now you have truly individual consciousness that is delving into a collective version of experience. These are the same things that occur upon all natural cycles that humans experience, and the occurrences that are within your solar eclipses and your lunar eclipses as well. This is the same as your equinoxes to solstice and the same as your night per day. The consciousness of that experience wholly lies drastically different in the collective that shares the greater experience to the individual that shares the unique, energetically and mechanically. What is occurring for the consciousnesses that are shared within one planet to hold the vibration of understanding in a greater collective. And of course, this is that part that is most difficult for the human mind to wrap around, because you live in linear time, because you experience being an individual, but also being parts of groups and parts of greater collectives. The energy in self-creation versus that of non-self or co-created collective forms is that as you are experiencing and creating, there are entities within your collective that are creating from the same level of awareness, and they are interacting with one another. There are humans that you never meet in the world that exist, and you are aware that they do exist. Now, those entities that you perceive in a picture in social media, that live across the world that you have no friendship with, they are still within your co-creative sphere because you are genuinely and directly aware of them. But those whose names you have never known, faces that you have never seen, are held outside of your co-creative sphere, although the greater sphere of co-creation is within your Earth Collective, the personal and intimate version of creation is held strictly outside of that realm until either time of attracting a co-creation with that entity or experiencing one of the further distant versions of them via bumping into them in social media or standing in the background as you enter the airport to travel. Regardless of how this occurs, the individual form of consciousness will only co-create with those that have direct forms of co-creation ability for that environment. What we mean by co-creation ability is the construct in which an individual consciousness desires a creation so deeply that they will pull all of the entities that are involved in that co-creation in for that experience of mutual benefit, even though there's a human being that stands several thousand feet away from you,
and you are only able to make out small appearances inside of their face. They have pulled your own consciousness into theirs in the same fashion, and even though they are having an argument with their siblings about who will sit next to the window in that airport, and you are nurturing your children, getting them ready, satiating the fears of their first time flying, both of you have hate that experience of co-creation for the collaborative form. Those who are more intimate in your cycles of creation are a bit more complex. Now you understand what it is to experience human beings who hold separate vibrations of excitement, separate vibrations of desire to create, and there are different versions of each of those humans in which you can co-create with. Many of you understand the negation of the energy that holds culpable forms of humans that are within your timeline or outside of your timeline. Yet the energy that is held with the construct of timelines in mind hold true that those entities that no longer desire to co-create with an excitement of yours can still be in your experience if it is required for yourself, but still hold a separate reality upon their own. This is where the difficulty for the human mindset to grasp and hold becomes very deeply disorienting. For many humans, very disconnected with either the psychological or the mental body in others. The entities that are held are versions of these entities that their own consciousness is not focused upon. This does not mean that these entities are not real. This does not mean that these entities have no consciousness. It only means that these are different alternate versions that are held outside of their oversoul and into the twin soul mechanist for the creation and co-creation with other fractals of consciousness outside of their own excitement. If you have a family of 4 beings and all of you accept one another wholly, then all 4 of you will share that experience of excitement, unless one desires only to create the version of the reality that accepts what they are doing. 4 different forces that are experiencing each other so vastly different in one family. 4 entities that are focused in creating something different without acceptance that the other may create something differently. Then you will have a co-creation that is unequal. Then you will have one consciousness going outside of its own expression of co-creation and creating different versions of those humans to work with. The excitement at the forefront of the focused consciousness, the beliefs that support the reality within are the part of that experience. And the reason why we share this consciousness as it pertains to that of the solstice energy is that this cycle of earth energy will affect all of you quite differently, regardless of your independent personality, regardless of your independent creative form. The version of you that is experienced the version of others will either be focused in the same form of reality, or you'll be creating with mirrored versions of those consciousnesses. One moment, we'll hydrate and continue. If you are focused upon the same levels and forms of excitement with others, and co-create different forms of that energy in your solstice forms of co-creation, then that co-creation will be distributed more equally upon the entities that are involved in a small localized collective, remembering that one town and one city will experience that energy in the time the wave of energy rolls into the Earth collective much differently than that who creates upon the next form and side of energy in the town that is 12 kilometers east. And with all of those entities that are co-creating, if the level of personal creation dictates that they will be the only person there that they experience if they are not in alignment or in acceptance of others and the versions that they desire to create, then of course you can create upon your own independent consciousness, even at a city filled with other humans. The level of energy also affecting the human consciousness different. With the receivability of that energy, some humans are not aware that there's a difference in this day than any other, besides the time that they are looking upon their calendar and seeing the words, the first day of summer or the first day of winter. And that is the only reference that is held. So, of course, the more subtle forms of energy affect these consciousnesses. Does not mean that the subtle energies will not create great forms of ripples in their experience to shift their own perspectives, all the conscious co-creations and creations that they hold. But it does mean that subtle forms of that energy will be received by them more greatly. The larger forms, more intensified versions, are those who are hyper-focused upon this moment. Those who say that this is the solstice and it will change the entire earth in this moment and shift us all towards a new reality altogether. Then of course, the most intensified version of that energy will co-create with that who pays the most intensified version of count and a perspective of that moment. Those who understand the cyclical nature of energy that co-creates upon human level and the consciousness of their higher fractal consciousness, integration of that consciousness into their physical body and the growth of their overall percentage of consciousness within their own body, but know that it is within themselves to create the form of change they desire. They will receive the most balanced and neutral form of that energy. So they are the waves, the intensity of that energy that matter. They are also those who are desiring that the other cycles that they are perceiving in their experience shift them outside but hold lack of awareness what that moment is, even though they are going between the level of that neutral and the little subtle energies, then of course the intensification of their own experience becomes greater. Now we understand co-creation versus creation holds a greater realm of understanding than the majority of humans are able to hold, not because your lack of wisdom, not because your lack of understandability, not because your lack of intuition. It is simply mechanical nature that is outside of your repetitious experience. Humans understand the nature of love on a human level. They understand having their heart broken through having relationships. They understand loving a parent or child. Most humans understand certain forms, and that is because all of you experience these constructs each and every moment of the days that go by your collective consciousness. You understand the nature of depression and the nature of great excitement. Now, we will focus now more deeply into what the cycle means upon the greater collective form. In this specific year of consciousness, this is the first time that a solstice has occurred after the end of the greater cycle of shift of consciousness in your 2012 region. We shared with you that this was the precipice form consciousness in the shift that most humans understand as ascension, third to fourth density conscious exchange, or graduation to another density level. And the precipice was held by a 9-year previous and 9-year post cycle. Both the pre and post cycles held different format of energy for each format and archetype of human consciousness that was within the Earth collective consciousness. But the cycle is over, and was over at the year of your 2021, upon your last solstice of the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere and in the southern or summer. And now hold the opportunity of that very first transition solstice. Remind yourself all what your experience of emotion, what your experience of energy was at your December 21st time. Most of you held unsurety. Some of you held a great deal of relief. Some of you understood in that which was holding a level of oppressive feelings within yourself was towards its end. But many of you held recognition about yourself, more so than what you had seen previous years. That was due to the nature of your own graduation from the conscious integration to integrating a higher percents of your higher fractal consciousness in your physical body. Most of you understood the nature of an 18-year great cycle being over, the beginning form of cycle being that which takes you from a non-accelerated form of consciousness to a place where still feels high levels of acceleration. Now, we shared the misnomers and misunderstandings of what we have shared previously, and we will share them again for this moment, as we are speaking in the same context and in the same forms and tone of consciousness that is shared. Accelerated moments of your 18-year cycle. What did occur was an acceleration of third density consciousness out of the highest vibrational frequency allowed in third density consciousness, and to finish out all of that energy with the higher forms of vibrations, precipice construct, bringing out, and although it was lower at the end than it was the precipice, the different forms of acceleration that caused quicker changes, more rapid changes, became very noticeable to the human form of collective within that consciousness after that energy was done, after the energy was completed, and after the energy was received to be in the perfect alignment with transition as it was. A new form of energy came forward, your December 22nd and 23rd and 24th. Came the very first days of your new accelerated consciousness being over, but a new form of permanent consciousness that was at a higher acceleration rate than all of the previous energy from your third density cycle before the 18-year process cycle started, was now part of your everyday expression. This means that if you are focused upon that energy, if you let go of the resistances that are held within, and if you focus upon the nature of self-creation, you will have a greater time of accelerating all of the openness of your expression henceforward. But this also means that when you are resistant, when you are fearful, when you hold a vibration of doubt, when you hold beliefs that everything shall fall apart, you will only create that at much higher rates and much quicker in this moment. We have always shared, as well as Treb Bor Yit-Ne, that being mindful in the moments of accelerated consciousness are always of great importance for human beings. That this is the reason why human beings have not graduated yet to your fifth density and to your sixth density construct. Imagine a human who is able to make manifestation through instantaneous form of thought. Each time you argued with that family member that is most difficult, and thought within your head, I wish you would just die, then you could create a death of that human you love very greatly. When you are in traffic and tell the person in front of you, I wish you would hit a tree because you are going to kill us all, then you have created this person running into a tree, and many humans die from this experience. The format of energy that is creative can be of that nature, but humans not ready for that moment until they have cleared the psychology, the energy of their emotional resistant forms, and the energy of their own emotional resistant forms. That is the process. That is the steps that occur. But right now, feels most dangerous for many humans who are going through accelerated forms of creation. I desire for all those around me to shape up or ship out in that belief that divine expression is held to you, either creating and co-creating a great deal of humans to support you in those similar efforts, or the release of a great deal of your friends and family. The energies that express, if my marriage does not find a way to work quickly, it will be over. And what will occur? Your marriage either fixing itself quickly or being at an end, pending upon all of those supporting beliefs behind the regency of the thought process itself. These are the forms of energy and the acceleration of consciousness. These are the forms and formats of the energy, and why this solstice holds such a great power. This is your first solstice that you no longer need accelerated third density consciousness. And it is because you hold permanent fourth density consciousness. All humans are in your fourth density already. It is the perspective of limitation that gives you that experience of repetition of third density. The feeling of limitations by those that are perceived as limited beings, that are humans, will persist until the release of that resistance is gone. One moment, we'll hydrate and continue. Now all of you have this great opportunity to take the solstice and start creating forward what it is you desire. What this means, that when working with your psychology, when working with the mental state, to be mindful of this as well, that just as quickly as you are able to create positive, great, and expansive things in your own experience, the same way that you are able to create resistance, more traumas and chaos in your life as well. If your life seems draining to yourself, remind yourself to quit expressing that belief that your life is overwhelming and crazy. Stop perpetuating the continuous thought process as to how deeply difficult your life may be, and start creating new expressions. Now we understand humans are from the greatest school of thou shalt see unto thy belief, and with this construct comes a great deal of sovereignty for one portion and a great deal of burden for another. When you have not seen and cannot believe that your life does not need to be horrendous, to be tiring, to be overwhelming, to be overstocked with all of those things that you are not resonating with, it is hard to believe it is possible elsewise. This means it will be more difficult to assist you now. In the same form, those who know and have perceived clarity in their experience can place that in contrast to what is occurring at that moment, and in alignment with what is occurring in that moment, and express
that I will create in this form of energy, and there will be nothing there to resist against it. This is why we have shared the 10-step belief system process and shared the 10 steps at a rate which is open and compatible. The 10-step belief system processes are the tools that walk you through the creation form of your psychology, how to take that energy of negative thoughts and remove the emotional forms of beliefs, how to work with psychology to feed a greater mindset, positivity, and empowerment in knowing the strength that you hold to create in this new form, accelerated fourth density forms of consciousness. What is to look forward in your next part of your experience in this path, as it were? Of course, there are many forms of energies that relate to your own excitements, utilization of creation through accelerated fourth density consciousness is, of course, a great tool for those of you who can learn the navigational form of your own psychology in the next 6 months as you approach your next solstice. You will do quite well. For others that have had very difficult time, and even after we have shared the possibility of creating the most perfect arena in your experience, still hold the old beliefs that express there's no way that things are able to get better, then you will, of course, create a great deal of that same repetitive forms of resistance to that moment. But there will be some of you in the middle, some of you who understand and know logically this is a possibility for the sharing and opening of my own express consciousness through the realms and lenses of the least resistant forms of consciousness. And there are other portions of resistance that I am aware, that I know that exist in my environment, of those that I co-create with and that exist within my own psychology. And I will take this at face value, but I will bring only the greater thoughts to the co-creation of that moment. These entities, although will not have as easy as forms of times as those who understand and know their creational ability and have adjusted for the greatness to occur, but will have nearly similar expansiveness as it pertains to these moments. These entities will have breakthroughs at a great level. These entities will have understandings that were not there previously. These entities will integrate near similar proportions of higher fractal conscious integration into their awareness and understanding. And this level of growth and expansion will be looked upon by both other groups, and many humans will hold envy on the way that they have navigated their own expression experiences. All of you hold the perfect balance internally as you are dualistic entities that exist in forms of first solar system, then the galactic, and then universal collective conscious exchanges, and understand and know dynamic of that energy is not lost upon you, or does not exclude you, or does not take double the effect upon you because you are human, or because you live upon Earth in a place that is highly resistant. The entire universe holds high levels of resistance. It is the expression in which you are able to manifest that energy through. Now we understand, I've shared a great deal, and will come to your queries momentarily. But remember that as you are going through the exploration of what you can create, what you can experience, remind yourself of the two principles that exist in all universe. Not simply that there are galaxies and stars, solar systems, planets, and moons. These only occur in a small fractal percentage of all universes. Many universes do not know solid form in the same way that ours does. This universe that all of us share is one of infinite versions, and of all of the versions of the universe that exist, two components exist in all, and only the two components that we share. Love and light are the things that are embedded within source energy that are tangible, perceivable, and consciously co-creatable forms. Love that is only of connection. This does not require a ooey and gooey feeling of the heart warming. Of course, that is the byproduct of love. But love is connection. It is the unbridled and it is the unseen construct that binds all beings together. The energy that is unconditional within that love holds the least amount of resistance that is possible in the utilization of this force alone. Light. We are not speaking of physical light. There are universes that hold voids. There are universes that hold no form of light energy. But light embedded is that of wisdom. And love and wisdom exist in all things. You see it in your duality around you. You see it in the structures of your religious forms and programmings, that of the tree of life and that in the tree of knowledge. That is the tree of love and the tree of light. Now, before we take your queries, we will express in this last construct, as all of you are going through your personal exchanges with your environment, personal exchanges with those other consciousnesses that share a place of co-creation with you, and as you work to the internal constructs of your mental and emotional bodies, remind yourself that you are loved. This does not mean that a separate, segregate consciousness sends love to yourself so that you are able to feel better, so that this being that sends this love is able to feel better. It simply means that the universe is created of love and is created of wisdom. For you to hold that within yourself, all you need to do is understand that you are that love, and that you are that wisdom, that your soul essence are the purest forms of both. Integration of the higher fractal consciousness only brings back more memories of your love and wisdom. We will take your queries one moment as we peruse through the queries themselves. Yes, first of all, the astral projection construct is a tool that is utilized by humans as they are growing and expanding their own consciousness. The energy, astral projection, is that the same as your sleep state. Most humans work in sleep state but are separated from their mental body. Therefore, they are separated from the memory of that experience. Consciously connecting more of the mental body to stay with the soul fractal that goes outward and experiences the astral projection and implant that memory directly after coming back from that astral projected form in your sleep state will give you a greater recall. And if you are able to do so, if you are able to perceive the construct of that energy more deeply, a simple visualization before your bedtime will give you similar constructs, but again, as your mental body is not highly attached to that construct, the feeling of lucidity drifts away. And just as in all tools that are expressed, some will work for some humans and some will not work for other humans. Astral projection is perceived as being that of easy, or being that as consequential to the forms of spiritual growth, but many humans have grown in a spiritual fashion without that version of experience in their memory, or without the utilization of a tangible form and a foreseeable form of their own ability not only to lucidly go through that expression, but also energy of holding the correct forms of growth and expansion desired as they are exploring that realm as well. But of course, all entities that desire to work with that energy form and level can be one of the easier forms to work with if your third eye is open and visualizations are proper. As the crown chakra is what takes you to your astral projected state, most humans cannot go through their own crown chakra unless their third eye is activated, as it will not be open nearly enough to export the amount of consciousness required for both lucidity and dream recall as well. We thank you for this. Yes, first of all, within your 222 and 22 region, this is a form of human calendar time, one that is not associated with natural forms of cycles. The energies of the human cycle and calendar, the Gregorian format of that calendar, breaks apart the year in 12 portions, yet 13 portions at 28 days is equivalent to your 12 months and several days shifting between 28 and 31. It is more chaotic and less natural in formation. The form of 28 13-month calendars work with the lunar cycle and hold more symmetry for the Earth's expression of unnatural time into the format of physical time. And that experience and expression is important by its own accord. Now, this does not mean that there is not an available form of energy that is involved in the co-creation or creation of this energy. It is simply an experience of the human collective agreeing that these numbers exist in the way that they do, and understanding the repercussion of your 2, 2, and 2, or 1, 1, and 1 are powerful, repetitive cycle forms themselves, and although it is not a form of natural time, it is a form of collective agreed upon time. That energy holds power onto itself. Now, the portals that you are speaking of, there are thousands of portals and grids that are spread throughout the human collective, some that are being worked upon by thousands of humans in the astral projected state, other by hundreds of humans in a consciously aware state, and other by millions of humans who are integrated into their higher dimensional forms of their astral projected sleep states. And these entities, and the entities that are inside of their bodies, and the entities that are knowingly astral projecting, all hold a co-creative form of sharing the energy vibration. Now, doomsday, we understand this construct holds fear for a great deal of humans, but it is because of the fear present in humans, the understanding that the entire system of the universe's duality itself holds a great deal of probabilities. Those probabilities hold small percentages of those that are scary and dark for humans, those that end with disastrous forms, some that with entire planets of consciousness being removed at one time, but we will share that before this ritual occurred, the percentage of possibility and probability around the Earth Collective for doomsday forms of scenarios was under 11%. And that is, of course, in heightened fears across the world, 11% being the highest of probabilities that were probable. Now we understand this holds a great deal of fear naturally by expressing this as this is only 1 in 10 purposes and experiences, but at the lowest end of the probability spectrum and place in which most probabilities that did come into some forms of doomsday scenario would come. This was less than 0.02%. And this 0.02% all of the way to 11.5 and 12%, drastically drawn down the more that humans disconnect about their fears of nuclear war, their fears of civil war, their fears of being overtaken and killed by their governments. Once those constructs are removed, then the collective spectrum goes from a 0.02 to an 11%, all of the way to a 0.0007 to a 0.02. Minuscule constructs, numbers that by association would be considered nearly impossible by the human standard. We are not saying that as humans shift through their own expression, while humans create the new fourth density round and around them, that you will not go through hardships, adversarial energies, and adversities alike. What we are saying is that these are none and cannot be overcome by humans. Working in a collective form is always of the greater betterment for the human collective consciousness. You see this in towns that go through disasters. You see it in countries that have been war-torn and preyed upon by other countries. And you see this in the world with a greater threat of wars that go and could appear. If humans are not afraid of those energies, if they are not focusing upon the probability of themselves and the world being destroyed, of course, the manifestation quality will be much lower. We do not mean to share with you that you should not be concerned of what you feel concerned of. You are concerned of those issues for a reason. The emotional resistances that are within you, traumas from previous experiences that are within you, and co-creations either in this life or others that hold fear of that construct. Even if it is that conditioning that was started at the beginning of your life in this incarnation, there are still reasons for you to feel that fear. What feeling of fear means is that there's processing left to do, that there's trauma unhealed, that there is a reason to go into yourself and try to work with a version of yourself at the younger childhood level, which first incurred this experience of trauma, and work upwards through your young adulthood into your moment that you are on that day. Also, as working with the construct of catastrophe forms in general, yes, the Earth Collective Consciousness holds the probability and possibility, as do all consciousnesses within the universe, the most powerful war-type entities in the universe and the most powerful, benevolent, peaceful beings, all are within probability of having a nova occur within their star on higher dimensional levels, to have the experience ended by no desire to continuing on further. All of these things are adversarial and adversity in the face of the experience of living in dualistic system. But in that level, high fourth, fifth, and sixth density versions, there's knowledge that accompanies the understanding of duality, which creates a much more manageable form of that energy expressed as well. We will take one more query before disconnecting. In the way of taking that most great advantage of the utilization of the energy that this specific form brings forward, is the utilization of understanding and knowing your own self in consciousness, knowing what your own resistances are, and if you are able to do so, you can utilize the systems of either the 10-step process or simply through self-recognition and utilize new intentions, utilize new forms of techniques that go through and systematically heal. In this moment, those who are ready for healing will receive that on an accelerated form. You are at the first solstice of your fourth density. The utilization of any of those forms of tools will be accelerated greatly as that means as well. We wish to express to all of you that it is of our greatest excitement to co-create with you and to have co-created with all of you. The form of excitement that we share, we will express to all of you that, of course, not only are you loved, but we love you as well. We will also share that as you have asked your queries, as you have shared your energy in this moment, we are exploring the parts of your own energy that we have yet to explore, because we are seeing those parts never seen previous. We are seeing parts of our own consciousness that we have never previously saw before, because we are all one. And as we are seeing those parts of our own consciousness that we have never perceived before, we are growing. You are growing. From your growth, reflection of that co-creation as well, we congratulate all of you for your growth, and we thank you for the growth that you have given us as well. We will bid you all adieu for this day, and of course, you are loved. Adieu.
All right, guys. I hope everything went well. I hope everything's good. Oh, it looks like a question was pulled up. Let me get that off screen here real quick. All right, guys. I hope everybody has a good solstice. I'm glad you guys were able to hang out with us tonight. Thank you, Kalina, for joining me earlier tonight and being a part of the sharing and caring. Thank all of you guys for coming in tonight, for sharing your own experience. We're going to have, I see so many questions right here. Just remember, guys, we'll have an open forum up in the next month or so. And with that, you'll be able to ask any question you want. We're just trying to get some more basic things settled up. As you guys see, a lot of things are shifting. The radio show, the website, the Patreon, the YouTube, all of the things we've got are being assisted on and helped with John Krieg. And Kalina's helping me, and the friends are helping me in other ways. So we're trying to get everything together so that it becomes an easier process and we can get more and more and more things coming to you guys. So thank you for your patience, guys. You're very welcome, everybody. Thank you all for all your love and support. Thank you, guys. It won't be a specific night, Kara. I always put out a video before I do the solstice or before I do the open forum. And what that video says is, hey, everybody, here's the open forum coming up, and here's the link to put your questions in. And you have to fill out the sheet. So I advise when you see a 5 to 7 minute video saying, hey, the open forum's back, even though you think it might be a commercial, if you watch it, it'll give you the link, the registration, and all the rules that we do. Because I know a lot of people are new and haven't done those before. So check those videos out. Next time I drop one, check that out. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for coming. I'm going to go check up on cleaning the baby, so I'm going to jump out of here pretty quick. Love you guys so much. Thank you all for being here. You guys are amazing. I really appreciate everybody being here. Yeah, I'll be in touch with you guys tomorrow night. I'm going to be doing my radio show. Anthony from Canadian Awareness on the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. So those of you who've been enjoying the radio shows, that's tomorrow night, guys. The rest of the stuff we'll be announcing as it comes. I love you guys very much. Thank you for being here with the ET Whisperer on the Solstice live stream on June 21st of the year. Thank you guys so much. Love you guys very much. Have fun. Have a great day. Good night. We'll see you guys on the other side. Night, guys.